Hello and welcome back to Star Wars Minute presents the Book of Boba Fett, which we're just gonna stick with that, I guess, for 3 more episodes. I'm Pete the Retailer.
I'm Alex Robinson.
And today we're talking about Chapter 4 of the Book of Boba Fett.
Over the hump.
Chapter 4 is called The Gathering Storm. And yeah, you say over the hump, and this is very much a transitional episode in a sense. It's very much like, okay, well, things were like this, and now let's set in motion the rest of the series. Yeah, we start off with Boba in the Bacta. Again, you know, I thought of it. We had to, you know, 1 or 2 people point out that it's kind of disappointing that it's not the Gamorrean in the Bacta when we start. Because remember, he got attacked by Black Chrysanthemum last week.
Yeah.
And then he was like, put him in my Bacta tank. And it would be great to see the Gamorrean in there and get his flashbacks.
To the time he was swallowed by the Rancor and had to be cut out.
Right, yeah. And then his youth, his childhood, where he befriended a spider that would write things in a web. Then yeah, we get the flashback to kind of Boba on the road, wandering Boba.
Yeah, one thing this episode does is establish that he has been doing this for years.
I guess so. Well, he's been with the Tuscans for years. I
guess between living with the Tuscans and I guess Solo Fett, he was in the desert for years. Because I was like, wait a minute, he's meeting Fennec Shand already? That was supposed to be. So
it was surprising that it
yeah.
like, especially so I when you queue it up on the Disney Plus. The episode description is like Boba Fett teams up with Fennec Shand. I was like, that could be any episode. Like that's, but I didn't realize that they meant that this is where you see them get together. This is where you see the in the flashback era.
Yeah.
But yeah, we go back to the flashback. He was riding his bantha around.
Dots are connected,
and my first note was like, I hope that bantha doesn't die, because he's like having a good time with the bantha, hanging out, and it's like, oh, that seems like a setup. And it seems like that's going to be upsetting somehow. They're, you know, when a character in a movie or you know TV show like this, when they display emotion, when they display a fondness or a kindness, you know, towards something, it's like, oh, that's going to be danger. It's like the opposite. It's like Chekhov's hug. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing that's we've kind of established that Boba Fett is an animal lover. He loves his Sarlacc. He has a nice relationship with his bantha. So
I don't think he loves his Sarlacc. He loves his Rancor.
Well, not the Sarlacc, the Rancor. That's what I meant.
We'll talk about his feelings towards the Sarlacc in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he sees a flare. Well, first we see Gamrasan, Gurmesa, and Chanini. Hey, Chanini!
Who are they?
The moons of Tatooine.
I was like, are those Jawas? I don't remember seeing any Jawas. That's funny.
Yeah, we see Tatooine's 3 moons, which are, you know, they're the kind of less frequented, you know, like everybody knows about the twin suns of Tatooine. But did you know it's also got 3 moons? And here we see
the overlooked triplets of Tatooine.
And
it would have been nice if they did a kind of ring theory with that, where had Boba Fett looking at the horizon, and you see while there's a piccolo plays while
in a minor chord, like do 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 do.
Yeah.
He sees some the flares, of course, were from the Mandalorian, that episode of the Mandalorian. Which would be interesting to do a kind of, you know, cross-cut between those two.
Yeah.
When he does the kind of the super bright flare thing, then cut to Boba Fett being like, oh.
Oh, and then they segue right into the beginning of A New Hope when Leia is being chased on the ship. Someone can edit those together into one big supercut.
And yeah, so he goes and he finds Fennec Shand lying in in the sand. Fennec Shand. That's what nobody gets to say. I don't like Shand. She's coarse and irritating. It gets everywhere.
I bet that's what the pikes are gonna say next
Yeah,
episode.
yeah, exactly. And he was like, "All right, well, she's dying. I better take her in
We take her to the tattoo parlor. Have her
the
patched up.
Tatooine parlor." Yeah, and it's odd because this is. I keep having to remind myself what kind of
Why are we
time
doing
frame
this?
we're in, if we're in the
Oh, yeah.
flashback or if we're in the quote unquote present.
Yeah.
Because if he went in the present tense, in the present scene, if he went to the body modification shop, that would make sense because he went there to find his gang. You know what I mean? He got his
Yeah.
gang there, and they could be like, "Oh, bring her here." But this is, a little while before that. Although maybe I guess that's when he knew. Maybe that's where he was going, and it's not a huge deal. It's just like I had to remember, like, oh right, he's not going there because he knows it from what happened, because what happened hasn't happened yet.
It is strange because you would think that based on his, it is weird that he seems to like. It is weird that we know. He somehow knows that this, even though he's been living in the desert this whole time, he knows that there's body modification shops going on and stuff like that. So
Right.
It is weird that when he sees them later and recruits them,
Right.
that it's not like a. But yeah, we see tough girl getting her something done.
Was that the same one? I don't think that was.
Really?
I don't
since
know.
they kept showing her, I assumed it was the same.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But the something that I didn't catch until I looked it up is that the main body modification guy is a celebrity cameo.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. It is an artist known as Thundercat, who is popular. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the works of Mr. Cat, so I cannot speak to them. But
big fan of Thunder.
I know people were excited. I'm. I have a certain old man kind of like whatever towards a lot of popular music stuff, but then I did a little bit of research and I was like, oh, well,
he's a musical artist.
He was
not
in
a visual
Suicidal
artist.
Tendencies for a while, which is interesting. That's not a usual. It is a surprisingly usual career path because I didn't realize how the turnover in Suicidal Tendencies is ridiculous. It's like everybody. It's like a landing pad for people to go on to different musical careers.
Are they still together? Is this the kind of thing where it's like the Beach Boys were like 30 different, like none of the original members are there and they're still going?
It's just the one. Mike Muir is
he seems kind of young to be.
He owns the
Suicidal Tendency, but
yeah, they cycle through people, and they get it's
more
or less just Mike owns the trademark, and is it's his band playing whatever.
Yeah. It is funny, a band called Suicidal Tendencies that's been around for 50 years or something.
Right. Yeah.
What could they have accomplished? So yeah, she gets her abs of steel, and
yeah.
I this scene annoyed me. It seemed like something out of a totally different. Like a lot of people, I guess, were comparing last week to Spy Kids, which I've never seen, but we get a minute and 15 seconds of her getting her body modifications done.
It was a bit long.
That's like 4 times as long as Anakin's cybernetic transformation. You know what I mean? Like that was a major point in a major character of the story, and now here we have, but we already know what's going to happen out of it. So it was very. I thought it was a real like kind of waste of
yeah,
precious screen time. Like
yeah, like I don't have a problem with the scene overall, other than it just went on way too long for what it is.
Yeah.
And if it was, if they were showing us, crazy stuff that we hadn't seen before, that's one thing. But it's just kind of like, and here's a metal cylinder, and like boom, 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 and he's putting in a metal cylinder and and here's a tube, and here's like a, surprisingly, it's odd because I do like one of the things that makes Star Wars great is the kind of lived in, Earth-like touches. So like the thing where it's like, just soldering the 2 wires together, like I like that because it seems kind of earthy and like
Lived
putting in
universe.
like the kind of mundanity of the parts and pieces. Seems I like that element a little bit, but we don't have to do it for like 2 minutes, like you said. It's and again, it's not like it goes on for a half hour, but it's a bit much. But considering, it is comparing it to Anakin's transformation is the thing, or like Luke's robot hand or whatever. But I know it's a different.
I mean, it literally could have ended
format,
with him
but-
walking into the door and then cut back to them on the bantha. You know what I mean? Oh, this
Right.
woman is dying. Like, we all know who these people are. We all know they're getting robot parts. We all know she winds up with a robot stomach.
Right.
So, and I think also seeing it done, it just raised so many questions. Like, what? Like,
Right.
it seems awfully dry to be like, it reminded me of like one of those gags where like the person is laying on the operating table and people are putting a lot of stuff in. Even clearly it's just their head on a table, and then there's like a hole that they're shoving. That's what it kind of reminded me of.
Right.
Like, okay, let's put this vacuum cleaner in here, or opposite, pulling stuff out. So,
Right, like Mary Poppins' bag.
Yeah.
But
Although it did make it. So this is now
this
5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Apparently,
and 9 years. So, well, anyway, I guess Vader's had his suit for 25 years now. But it made me wonder if kind of like Vader's suit was like the moon landing of cybernetics, where that was really cutting edge for its time, and the technology has kind of permeated into regular people now, where you can just casually walk in and say, hey, you know what, give me some cyborg parts. It's not even like a big deal anymore, and it's accessible to regular people. So yeah, I thought that was kind of like if it's I'm surprised that like in the Force Awakens era that everyone just doesn't have cybernetic parts, because it became such a common thing.
Something that comes up later that I guess we can we'll talk about it now, because it's a throwaway line later when they're talking about kind of putting their resources together, figuring out how they're gonna do things. Fennec Shand refers to the gang that hangs out here as the mods, which I did not realize last week. I'm an idiot. I didn't realize that was a pun. That their whole thing is a pun. They're mods because they're into body modifications. So they're mods and like
they're like the 60s mods, and they're into body
and
modification.
they're body mod I does that make me like it more? I think so. I can't tell, but I liked it already. I like them, but do I like them? I don't know.
They still have to prove themselves in my eyes. That after last week's slow speed chase, I'm still waiting for them to be
right. Well, I mean, it's a bunch of scooters chasing a bureaucrat. Like, that's not going to be they're not going to you don't get bullet out of that. You just get Anyway, so they team up and they have a little kind of fireside chat.
Well, she finishes her operation and he immediately says, all right, let's go back out in the desert.
Right.
You just had your stomach replaced.
Right.
So one night, I guess. It's definitely an outpatient procedure. So
tough to tell. I don't know, because it could be some time there, but then he does take her back out. But when she wakes up, they're out in the desert again.
Yeah.
He's like, here, have a black melon.
I will say I do like the way, generally, notable exception coming up, I do like the way that Morrison says, I am Boba Fett. The way he says it makes it sound a little bit more exotic than Han Solo saying, Boba Fett.
I wrote it later because he says it multiple times in this, and it's like it's become his catchphrase. Like, and which is good because it's, of course, all referencing his appearance in the holiday special. That's when he first shows up, and he's like, "I am Boba Fett." Like he even says it like Morrison is saying it kind of like the way that whoever I'm not sure who the voice actor in the holiday special was.
No, I was gonna say Jason Wintergreen.
Jason Priestley.
Jason Priestley.
Yeah, so I kind of like that each time he says it, it's like a reference to the holiday special. At least in my eyes. And so they have a little like sitting around the campfire when she gets better. She wakes up.
he recaps what was going on. I live with the Tuskens. They rescued me.
They should have done a flashback there and shown
previously on Boba Fett.
Right. And we finally figure out the answer. The question that we've been asking for 4 weeks. Why is he doing any of this? And the answer he gives is, why not?
Mm-hmm.
She says, "What? Like, you sure you want to take over like a crime syndicate? Like, why would you do that?" And he's like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's what we were waiting for this whole time."
I guess later on he does elaborate more. He's sick of being on the puppet on everyone else's strings and people getting killed.
Yeah, he does
stupid mistakes and so on.
Yeah, he does elaborate, and he's trying to make some. Basically, it's like, workers of the world unite. He's trying to, make a creator-owned kind of a co-op almost of a crime co-op.
It is strange though, because he does say he has a lot of money stored away in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why? If he's sick, I don't know. It's strange to me. I guess we'll just have to go with why not. There's a lot of this stuff that you just kind of have to go, okay, I'm just going to take everything at face value and not question it.
Right.
So I think that's one of the things. Like, it seems like if he was sick of, he could just retire and go live on Ryza or something.
Right, but he wants to make it better for everybody. That's the whole thing. He wants to create a safe space for people like him.
Yeah.
To be able to ply their trade without getting endangered by the idiocy of others.
Yeah. Anyway.
And so it's like, all right, but first thing that I need to accomplish this is I need to get my ship. And here's another thing that we speculated about, we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Is his ship parked in the lot at Jabba's with a bunch of tickets on it, just kind of waiting?
And there it is.
And there it is.
That it is.
They Fennec Shand has a spy ball.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I have a question first.
Okay.
Does I like he says, I need you to help me recover my fire spray gunship. Boba Fett's starship.
Right.
That famous ship, Boba Fett's starship. But does Boba, because she says, she says, where's your ship? And he says, it's in Jabba the Hutt's palace. And she says, Jabba's dead, but before Tuna runs the show now. Did Boba Fett think Jabba has been alive this whole time?
I don't know. That's what I was wondering too. He doesn't seem to react to that. I'm assuming maybe I don't know. He went right out into the Tuskens, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe since, he knows where that is, where some of the stuff is on Tatooine, maybe he's been hanging around the outskirts a little bit, kind of, picking up the newspapers, just kind of seeing what, like.
But he doesn't say, I'm going to go steal from Bib Fortuna's palace. I guess people can still refer to it as Jabba's palace the way we still refer to it as the Chrysler building, even though Chrysler does no longer has operations in the Chrysler building.
But or like the Sears Tower, even though now it's like the
Kmart Tower.
Yeah, something. No, wait, it's got a new name, but it's still basically, or like any
Stadia.
Stadium naming, right.
So she sends out her
so maybe
spy
he
probe.
doesn't know. I would have liked more of a reaction to that.
Yeah.
Him being like, Jabba's dead. Good. Something like that, Although Jabba, Jabba didn't double cross him. Like that's the whole thing. Like how did he get double crossed in any of this? He was out there protecting people, like basically going above and beyond what he was asked to do.
Yeah.
That's how he got, quote unquote killed. That's how he ended up in the Sarlacc pit, because he was overstepping his bounds. He was that as a bounty hunter, like that. He doesn't have to go do extra work to go fly out and knock the guy off. He delivered Han Solo. He's hanging out and having a party, whatever. Like he's not.
Well, we don't know. For all we know, maybe Jabba said, "Stick around. I'll pay you $20, 20 credits a day to just kind of."
Yeah. But still.
Well, and also, I guess once Han Solo could theoretically escape, is the bounty back on? Could Boba Fett have caught him and be like, "Oh, you owe me another $20,000 now"?
Oh yeah, like every time.
Everyone was just trying to get Han Solo and forgetting that
they were trying to free Han Solo from carbonite so they could bring him back.
Yeah.
Everybody was going to sneak in and unfreeze him at night. Yeah, I mean, Jabba didn't betray him.
Well, I think he implies Bib betrayed him.
How? I don't know.
Maybe there was some behind the scenes stuff that.
Yeah,
either
maybe we'll see it. Yeah, I don't know, but No, but we don't, because this is we've got a direct line pretty much from him crawling out of the Sarlacc pit to him, showing up
Right.
here.
But maybe it happened like beforehand. Maybe like Boba Fett's like, now that you're done with now that I got Han Solo, I'm going home. And Bib Fortuna was like, no, come on the sail barge with us. It'll be fun. Like convinced Boba Fett to go.
Yeah,
And then
still,
Boba Fett
that's
thinks
not-
that I don't know.
That's not a betrayal. None of the he's not like he was hired to do a job by Darth Vader. He got well compensated.
Yeah.
He got hired to do a job by Jabba the Hutt. Presumably, he got well compensated enough that he stuck around to hang out and
Right. Well, I don't know about you, but I find in real life people tend to blame their mistakes on other people a lot. So for all we know, he's just kind of like been thinking about this the whole time and just been building it up, and he just never liked Bib Fortuna, so he has to blame Bib Fortuna for all his woes.
Right.
So
blame Bib. Blame it on the Bib.
Don't blame me. I voted for Bib Fortuna. So yes, a little spy ball.
Spy ball.
Interesting to contrast it with other probes we've seen, like Darth Maul's probe.
Yeah.
This is obviously a lot smaller.
Yeah.
But it for some reason is encrusted with bright red lights, which to me, I would not want my spy ball to have bright red lights on it. I want it to blend into the background where no one can see it.
Right. You just want it to look like a rock.
Yeah, it should be going at ground level with no lights on it, or better yet, disguised as like a bug or something. Although people,
so I mean, a rock. If it's just like give it a little hovering thing to be like a rock that just floats along the ground, making a map. But I'm assuming that needs to be. Well, it wouldn't be that interesting to watch a rock on TV, and then B, also it's. I'm assuming that those the red dots are some kind of function of its scanning ability. There's some kind of
or it was purposely given red lights because people were using it for illegal purposes. So like, you know what, we're going to put the same way they put those red rockets on toys have to be like a bright color so that you're aware of it. So she should have put little pieces of black duct tape over each one of the lights to cover.
Then it couldn't see. Then it can't scan. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she comes back with the map, and they're like, all right, well, there's the we basically get our the very Star Wars scene of, okay, here's the map projected. We're going to go through here and get to the ship.
Yeah.
And then what a note that I have kind of ongoing at some point in this is just like, what, here's my business advice to anybody doing running a criminal operation on Tatooine or anywhere else. Do not hire Gamorreans. I mean, I know that's slightly racist, but like they seem completely useless in every situation. Like it's never like oh good, here's a Gamorrean guard to successfully guard anything. When Luke walks right by them, the other like everybody else just kind of walks through. They they're just like walking in front of the giant door, and like Boba and Shand go like 5 feet to the right of the door, and they're like shh, and then like weld through a thing and knock it, like clang clang, and the Gamorrean's like,
isn't that like Top Secret? Isn't there a joke like that where the guards are just kind of like looking around, and no matter how much noise they make, the guards never look over?
Yeah. So I do not hire Gamorreans is my advice. I we're not allowed to state that in the job description. No Gamorrean is allowed because we just got we're but let me recommend.
Well, here's also something I'll say in this scene. In this scene, we get a tearful farewell. Boba Fett sends his bantha out to live in the wilderness. And I want to implore everyone within the sound of my voice, do not release domesticated animals into the wilderness. Most of the time, they're not going to do well. Don't see this and go, you know what? I should release my snake into the... well, snakes might be okay, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
But, like, anything more complicated than a no, don't do it. Anyway.
Well, is it one that he just, was it wild up until last week?
Oh, yeah, I'm assuming that Boba Fett has been living with this creature and knows that it could survive. But I'm just saying, people out there don't get any bright ideas about releasing your animals into the wild.
Right, yes.
That's it.
I agree.
So
unless they're Gamorreans. Just cut them loose. Just take them out to the park and be like, you know what? Go run free.
Many years ago in college, I had a friend who had a snake. a small python, and we walked around. He was cool, so he walked around Washington Square Park with his snake around his neck. And some hippie girl came over and started yelling at us, saying that he should just release the snake, just let it go, and because it's a wild animal, not a pet, not a toy, and so on and so on.
And you're like, if I release the snake right now, like a hawk would just pick it up within 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
catch
like
the hawk
there's that like internet video where like somebody, it's like they bring some wild creature that they nurse back to health, and they bring it out to an open field, and it's supposed to be this kind of heartwarming video of them releasing it back into the open field, and it's literally, it doesn't make it like 30 feet before some kind of avian predator just swoops right down and devours it.
That would have been great if he releases, the panther walks 10 feet away, and then a crate dragon pops out of the sand and swallows it and just goes right back down.
Or the Nikto speeder bikers, just like, they just drive by, like, pew, 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 and just blow it up. Yeah, so they sneak in, and they sneak into the kitchen. And in the kitchen we get a whole different kind of scene here that the tone definitely shifts here for a second. It goes from like, all right, it's a very, serious heist, and then we're sneaking into, like, we have to look at this map, and we're going to sneak from here to here, and all of a sudden it's, my note was, rat Tatooine. Because
Womp rat tattoo.
There you go. They sneak into the kitchen, and it's a little bit of like a comedy routine, because you get an EV9, presumably our EV99.
Yeah, promotion or demotion.
I think he's kind of all around. He's like
she.
Oh, she. Sorry. I think she's kind of like in charge of all the domestic activities.
Yeah.
Right. She's like the house mistress.
But she seems like she's taking orders from the chef droid. The chef droid's like, go check it out and go,
Right.
It seems like it's a.
I was going to say, well, at Jabba's, it seems like I'm sure the chef would carry a lot of weight, no pun intended. The chef would be an important fixture at Jabba's, but Bib doesn't say, although Bib, the Bib that we saw.
He looks like he got a little heavy in his later years.
So maybe there's still, it's a food-based social strata. Yeah, we get the EV99. We get the chef droid, who I forgot to write down the model, but it's the same multi-arm chef droid that we see in Attack of the Clones.
It is the same?
I don't know if it's the same droid. It's the same model.
Oh, but I mean, it's the same. It's the same basic structure: square head, 6 arms, the pancake droid that we saw in the refugee ship.
Right. COO cook droid. Which the 2-meter tall COO cook droid manufactured by Industrial Automaton is a Class 5 droid. It's Class 5 droid.
Can't tell you that. That's Class 5.
Yeah, no droids in the food line. That's the COO droid said that.
Yeah.
And the that droid and that droid does will do we I can't remember if we see the rat catcher first, because they hear
no, the rat catcher does not arrive until all these other droids did.
But Boba and EV99 are they're like, oh, what was that? I don't know. Maybe it was a rat. Well, it was Scurrier. Was that a Scurrier? Call the rat catcher. Now the Scurrier, important. Let me point out. Pablo Hidalgo has been kind of tweeting about this. Important distinction. The things that we see running around Tatooine are not womp rats. We have yet to see a womp rat in live action Star Wars. We see Scurriers.
2 meters. They're like giant.
Yeah.
The Scurriers, of course, debuted in the special edition.
Yeah.
And I learned that they were...
Same feeling that I just said about Boba Fett quoting the holiday special nonstop. Reverse that, and that's how I feel about the Scurriers being a constant reference to the special edition.
I just learned while I was researching it today that the Scurriers are, at their heart, are the Velociraptors from Jurassic Park, which makes sense since the Bronto was the
Bronto was
from,
so they...
so Reuse, recycle, renew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the chef droid gets to do a little bit of a kind of a General Grievous thing where you think it's going to be this big fight, and then Fennec Shand pops up.
Or
and
the
just,
Cairo swordsman.
Yes, cuts his head off.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the chef droid would fight. Is it just because it's Jabba's? Is it because it's evil? Or like...
I don't know. But,
it seems like it would be the equivalent of C-3PO. Like, oh my gosh, what's going on here?
No,
like,
chefs are tough. If you've talked to anybody talk to people in that industry now, in the restaurant industry, chefs are pretty tough. They live hard. I mean, I'm generalizing, stereotyping, but I'm not surprised that the chef would fight.
So you think if I were to break into the back of a restaurant, the chef would definitely try to fight me, as opposed to being like, what the heck, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. But she quickly dispenses with the chef droid.
And do we see EV-99? Did we see the sad death of EV-99 here?
It just kind of gets knocked down and falls to the ground. We don't see like her head pop off or anything like that. Just kind of, it seems more like knocked out than killed. If you can, I guess you can knock a droid out.
Mama said knock the droid out.
I guess the C-3PO seemed knocked out after he fell off the cliff in A New Hope.
Right.
He like woke up kind of.
Right. It's like if you like if I knocked my hard drive off this desk, my computer might have a hard time for a minute. It might reboot or something.
Yeah.
Let's try it. No. And then the rat catcher shows up, which is an LEP service droid. As we see apparently in the cartoons, right?
They're featured prominently in the Clone Wars. And they're apparently in The Force Awakens, but the voice only.
Yeah.
How they distinguish that voice is from, but I guess whoever's in charge of the sound Wood over there confirmed that is the case.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the LEP service droid. It's very
of the droid or the slapstick chase scene, or both.
I feel like one begets the other because it's a little, it is more, I don't know. It's tough because I do like a pit droid, and it's of a similar, like if this whole same thing was a pit droid doing all this, how would I feel about it? I'd probably feel better about it. I don't know. Why do I not like this droid? I feel like it's too, it's the Leslie Nielsen thing.
The Leslie Nielsen thing.
Yeah.
Giant-sized Leslie Nielsen thing.
When Leslie Nielsen fell into the swamp and he got injected with the super soldier serum. No, Leslie Nielsen worked comedically when he was playing it completely straight. And so if you have if you have this kind of a scene with a less comical looking droid, and the pit droids aren't, I mean, they're whatever. I don't know. Nitpicky, perhaps, but once Leslie Nielsen starts like, ooh, and like mugging to the camera, then he becomes intolerable.
Yeah.
And I feel like this droid looks too comical in its design. It's got like the kind of, cartoon little eyes and the thing, and it's a little bit like, okay, well, it looks goofy, so I don't, if it looks goofy and does goofy things, it's over the line.
It does not seem like it was ideally suited to catching rats. It's very...
Other than the fact that it's small, which is fine.
Yeah. But you think more like a spider-type droid would be better than a thing that walks. It doesn't seem very... I feel like the scene is mostly for comic relief.
Yeah,
so us
which is
arguing
fine.
the practicality of this droid that's shaped like a bowling pin.
Yeah.
Like...
now I like it more that you say it's a bowling pin. Now that I'm looking at it.
I do like the gimmick where it churns itself off. I thought that was a funny, like, it's so scared that it just shuts itself down. I thought that was a...
Yeah, I like it. It's very prequel.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Also, it's fine.
And I also like that it sounds like the beginning. It sounds like the start of, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the group. The ones who did Feel Good Incorporated.
Oh, is it Gorillas?
Yeah, Gorillas. Because it has that kind of like laughing, and like it
oh right,
it's like sobbing, and then but it sounds exactly like the beginning of
right.
So yeah, then when they finally see Boba Fett's starship, and they proceed to steal it.
And once again, even though nobody asks, he has to tell somebody. He's like, I am Boba Fett.
Yeah, that one to me seemed stupid. I didn't get what that it was. It's supposed to be that he's.
It's a thing. Like, he's really like playing on his. I'm starting to question. It's like Lady doth protest too much. Like, maybe this isn't Boba Fett.
It could be just
Think about
another clone that thought it was Boba Fett.
He wakes up in the well, no, he was in the armor when he woke up. I was like, if he wakes up in the Sarlacc.
But it's unclear because, as we're going to see, Boba Fett goes inside the Sarlacc looking for his armor.
Right.
Apparently not remembering that he blasted his way out, and that's how he got out, because he was wearing his armor.
Yeah.
So I guess either he doesn't remember it and none of the Tuskens said, oh yeah, you were wearing armor and we left it behind. The Jawas took it. Or
yeah,
I guess they didn't even stay there. They
didn't even see it. They just found him in a sense. So I'm not going to blame him for not remembering.
Yeah, obviously it was everything. It was a stressful,
traumatic experience. But
yeah.
Now, but now I am questioning, what if here's my conspiracy theory. I'm gonna get your yarn and thumbtacks ready.
This is Marie.
I'm gonna say that this, and again, people are gonna yell about different aspects of this, but Boba Fett crawled out of the Sarlacc. The Jawas took his armor. He died.
Mm-hmm.
Got eaten back by the Sarlacc. But the escape route that he made, that stormtrooper that was in there, who, let's say, was a clone left over from the clone army, he used that same escape route. He got out. The Tuskens found him, and he went through his whole thing, and he thinks he was Boba Fett for some reason, or he was trying to trade on that reputation.
Well, he saw Boba Fett's armor in the Sarlacc pit, and that's what gave him the idea.
Right. And he was like, oh, I could be anybody now.
Yeah.
And so that's why he keeps going around and saying, like, I am Boba Fett. Yes, right? I am Boba Fett. I am Boba Fett.
You believe I'm Boba Fett, right? It's believable.
Did I tell you I am Boba Fett?
He's just Sarlacc madness now. He thinks Fortuna betrayed him. He thinks he's Boba Fett. All this crazy stuff. I didn't care for the scene where they get Boba Fett's starship out of the thing.
It was fine. I have a low tolerance for this kind of, expected action sequence. There's a lot of, I think maybe because the last several episodes have kind of tempered me to this, that it's just like, in every situation, I'm expecting the most expected. Expect the expected. That's the lesson that I've learned.
Yeah.
And now that I'm kind of, going in with that attitude, like every single scene, and it keeps going, to a certain extent too. Like there's all the action scenes coming up. I'm just like, okay, well then here's what this is what they're gonna do, and then let me just sit back for a second and, it's like driving in the, those kind of flat states in like New Mexico or something, where it's just like, okay, there's where I'm going, and you just drive there, and you can see it the whole time, but you're going there anyway. So, it didn't bother me. I didn't, I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't like, oh, it's such a great scene, but I was like, okay, well, this is what I know they're gonna do now, and so I felt like it was executed, relatively adequately.
Speaking of executions, I kind of laughed at the scene where he tracks down the Nikto biker gang.
Yeah,
it seems like, does he know these are the same guys? Like, he's just kind of like, there's some Niktos on bikes.
Yeah.
Oh wait, there's some more over there.
Even if they are like that, I don't know. Like,
And then Fennec Shand just kind of looks at him like, all right, I'm not going to question.
That's one of the things that was on your to-do list. Can we check that off now?
Yeah.
Like that does, I don't know, that if this was, they
don't even shoot back.
If this was, really shoots them all in the back. We're not, we the only proof that we have that these are the same guys is that they spray painted the same thing as their, we can assume that it's the gang, that spray painted the thing on their wall. So we can assume that these guys are at least associated with the same people who, although there is room for error there, that we could, if just like the stormtroopers are not the slaughter of the Jawas was made to look like it was stormtroopers. I mean, made to look like it was, well, both. It was made to look like it was sand people, who then it was also made to look like it was stormtroopers, but it was really Obi-Wan. Oh, no, wait. No, Obi-Wan went and killed, he didn't kill the Jawas. He went and killed Uncle Owen and Emperor.
No, and he killed the Jawas.
Oh, okay.
Because he wanted Luke to think that the stormtroopers killed the Jawas looking for the
droids. So that the
they go to the Sarlacc pit.
But so it's the same thing. This could be a setup where like whoever massacred the Tuscans, it could very well have been the
Pike gang.
the Pikes who then blamed it on the biker gang.
Yeah.
Pikes, not bikes or whatever. So I don't know. If this was, Boba Fett, if you had shown me this outside of this seems like the Boba Fett of old.
Yeah.
That we knew. This seems like what the type of thing that people were expecting from the Book of Boba Fett, where he just like mercilessly goes out and slaughters his enemies.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I not cringed, but I was like, because the newer, kinder, softer Boba Fett, where again, he addresses this. He's like, I didn't get soft. I got harder because of something, because you can't get far without a tribe. But
yeah,
it doesn't jive with the character where we were at, and I don't overall. Also, I don't like It seemed a little bit, I don't know, not out of character, but just I don't like. I don't. It's like Anakin. When Anakin did the exact same thing, Anakin went, "Oh, the people who killed the person that he loves, he went and slaughtered them all, and it was enough that it upset him enough that he turned to the dark side." Whereas Boba Fett is just like, "Oh yeah, no, I before we go get milk, I want to stop and slaughter all the people who
might have had something to do with this."
Yeah.
So then Boba Fett flies to the Sarlacc pit in a very strange sequence where his starship is facing down, and then the Sarlacc pit tries to eat them and pull him down.
And I know it's not sci-fi, it's space fantasy, but I had a really hard time being like, how can this ship fly upside down in the atmosphere like 10 feet above the ground?
Well, I assume at that point it's almost more like land speeder technology, where if you want to fly facing downward, you have something on the bottom but it did seem very strange.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted to, I think, like we've been saying, playing with the toy sense, they just wanted to see Sarlacc pit fight the Sarlacc. They wanted to see Sarlacc fight Boba Fett's starship. Right.
And looking out the thing, that makes sense. But like you could, it's got wings that notoriously rotate, so you could have had it, show pay some deference to ground effect. Like, so it's not, I mean, granted, we do see a lot of things float. I didn't have to see how the ball floated, the spy ball floated, or any of this other stuff. It just seemed incongruous to me that it's like, oh, why? How is that ship? Maybe because it's so big. I'm like, how is it doing that?
Yeah, especially because he wound up just going in a little while anyway.
Yeah,
he just wound up. I thought he was just gonna fly by, shoot the Sarlacc, and then just move on the way he did with the Niktos. Like I thought this was just kind of like, screw that Sarlacc.
Yeah, that's the other thing where I was just like, oh, don't do that. Like it's not like it just was hungry. It just eats. Like I was like, don't blame.
I'm surprised he didn't kill it first.
I'm gonna go blow up that quicksand. Like, come on.
See, I would have liked that because it would have just been dumb.
Yeah.
Like just pure, like to say, like you bang your elbow into the desk and then you hit the desk. Just
right, and then you go back and you come back and you shoot the desk.
Yeah. And also that whole thing, like, why? Again, don't ask too many questions. Why is the button to push the bomb out of reach when you're in this chair? And how does she know that button releases the sound bomb? And why did Boba Fett release the sound bomb? I feel like they just needed her to have like to show you what a badass she was. They just needed to kind of do that.
Yeah, I guess if it was, I don't know, maybe because of the angle that it's at, but no, I can't. Yeah, I'm not going to question it. Yep. But again, this is, again, more scenes of what are they going to do? The most expected thing. Exactly what, like there's no like, there's no let's change it up. Oh, let's do a cool, it
Yeah.
would be, cool if we did this. It's just like, all right, what would somebody in a movie do or say in this situation? That
Yeah.
seems to be like how they arrived at all these choices, because it's like they, drop like her getting out, like not being able to reach the switch and then popping up to reach the switch and drop the bomb and then say fire in the hole. And right before that, it's like they're, it's like, oh, we're looking through a dark cave at the thing. Like, oh,
I know
obviously
you
it's
love
just
your
going to jump
slimy
out and
tentacle
attack the,
monsters.
yeah. Like
know what
everything
the-
is like the most expected, and it's just kind of
Yeah.
like, all right, when and people were, people were complaining about our complaints of it being, we were complaining about tropes and stuff like that. And I'm complaining about it less because I've, like I said, I've come to expect it here, but sometimes it is just kind of like, okay, like
Yeah.
there's no tension there because I know exactly that they're going to be looking in here and it's going to jump out and attack them. I'm not startled by it. I'm not surprised by it. I'm not scared
Yeah.
by it, and I'm barely entertained by it. So it's fine, but it's just like, all right, get to the point. Like, let's.
You know what I would have liked to have seen? I would have liked to have seen Boba Fett's starship actually pull the whole Sarlacc out.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? Like it was wrapped around the ship, and then he
Right.
backed up, and then you saw like how that would have been cool to see.
Right.
And it would have given us some exciting new world building. We would have seen what the
Right, yeah.
confirmed.
Yeah,
what
you're
the belly
you're
of the Sarlacc.
as a fan of the cross section kind of books. That's what you're rooting for always. You're like,
Well, yeah, I mean,
you're like, it'd be cool if he pulled it out of the sand and then dropped some kind of like razor
Dissected
blade
it.
or slice laser thing and cut it right in half so we could see exactly how it works.
Exactly, yeah. So then we go back to the present.
Yeah, we finally we get a weird, again, it's funny because we get a crossfade from the montage of flashback, which like, oh, and then after this, the stuff that you saw at the end of The Mandalorian happened, and then we get this kind of close up on Boba Fett's helmet from the end of The Mandalorian straight to his face in the Bacta, which brings us up to the present. And then he gets out of the Bacta, and the droid is just like, congratulations, you are now fully healed. Like, congratulations, like, we are done with exposition and back to, flashback to.
Dots successfully connected.
Right.
Disengaging flashback mode.
But, yeah, then Shand comes out, and it's just like, all right, we got everything, like, and, yeah, we, that magistrate, the Twi'lek guy that that the mods captured. He's singing like a Yuzum.
Hopefully not.
Which again, I don't like my references to the special editions, but I do like singing like a Yuzum because that also makes it sound like he's singing in like a very Muppety sense. He's not just revealing things. He's doing it in a very kind of like hyper way.
So then we get so one thing I'm going to say, I feel like Boba Fett should wear his helmet all the time. Once he gets his armor back, anytime he's interacting with the public, like that's his brand. I don't know why he's walking around with his face showing. Like that seems to convey.
Well, that's why he has to keep saying like, I am Boba Fett, because he's got a helmet off. They're like, oh, really? You don't? Oh, I see. Like if I started walking around with my hat on, people would be like, what's that guy? Like, I am Pete the Retailer. Like, oh, hey, didn't recognize you without the hat.
So then we go back to the casino, which it seems like a video game that every time they step foot in the casino, it's like the same establishing shots. It's almost like you walk out and then you walk back in, and it's literally the same exact things going on. We got Max Rebo, we got the droid, and then so far I don't understand why the casino is here in the story. Like, oh, Jennifer Beals is here, and every episode she tells, she's the flavor text that says, oh, go to this location. She doesn't even do that in this. He walks into the thing and then just walks right out. It doesn't even.
Well, he goes to pick up Chrysanthemum.
Yeah.
Which is, so you go to the, it's very much a video game, kind of situation where it's like you go to the, oh, you need to get, or like a role playing game, like an RPG thing. Oh, you go to the tavern to pick up your adventurers, that kind of a thing. Or like you go to the, the NPCs are in the thing, will let you got to pick up this character for your adventure in this spot. And it doesn't.
Yeah.
It does seem a little not odd, but it's like, well, why have him run off why have Black Chrysanthemum run off last episode?
Just have him hire him
And
in
you'd be
this
like, all right,
episode.
take off. And then
Yeah.
in this one, he has to get, like, he just goes and he's like, I got some work for you. Instead of just being like, when they're done, why not just have him be like, why not stick around? It seems like extra work.
Yeah. Well, then I guess you wouldn't have a scene of him fighting Bossk. But
right, which was another thing that I like. Am I supposed? It's kind of like, it reminded me of Superman 2 a little bit. No, Superman 3. Superman 3. No, 2.
Which part? Tell me what part.
Where he goes back to the
diner. That's Superman 2.
The Superman 2. Yeah.
Yeah. You never saw garbage before.
Yeah. It reminded me a little bit of that because there's like these guys didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So like in the
he's racist.
The Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, which is now the kind of established one. I think that's the only one that you can buy now. You can when Superman undoes the events of the end of the movie by going back in time again, spinning the Earth backward is going back in time again, and then he goes back to the diner to punch out the guy who was being a jerk to him before.
Yeah,
but he's gone back in time. That guy hasn't done anything. And so he just walks into a bar and just is like Superman is a jerk and just punches out some guy for no reason. And so this reminded me of this. It's like these guys didn't do it. They're just Trandoshan is out having fun. They're out doing a night on the town. Maybe it's a business trip or whatever. And here Chrysanthemum is just so like, upset about. Granted, there's historical beef between his race and their race, but that doesn't mean you can just go, punch somebody in a bar.
I will say, I do think I will give props to the costume makers because I think this Wookiee costume is fantastic. Very expressive. Like he really, more so obviously Chewbacca. They're basing it on a 50-year-old design, so they're kind of limited as to what it would look weird if Chewie was that expressive all of a sudden.
If suddenly he was like, with his eyes. Yeah. No, it's the best Wookiee that we've seen, and much better than than Tarful and those guys.
Yeah,
better than Tarful.
Tarful Topper. So there's the meeting of the three families. I guess 4 if you count the Boba Fett family as. And this scene to me raised more questions than it answered. Like. Boba Fett's like, I don't expect any money from you. So why is he the crime boss if he doesn't?
Well, because again, in order to enact the, the equitable, essentially co-op.
Yeah.
The crime co-op that he's establishing, he's got to be the one in charge to be. You can't do it from the bottom up. Say like, all right, now everybody's just entitled to what they earn.
But how is a criminal organization going to make money if you're not taking money from people underneath you in the criminal organization? Like, how does Boba Fett make any money if no one's giving him tribute?
He doesn't need money. That's he's taking it out, and he's like, all right, now everybody's working for their own interests, essentially, but under this umbrella. It's a co-op.
But
the job of a co-op isn't to be profitable. It's to be, to make the
But if
equitable...
how does Boba Fett earn money with his crime organization?
He doesn't. He's got plenty of money. He doesn't need money.
So how is he even... That's like me saying, you know what? I'm involved in the crime family. I don't make any money from the crime, and I don't take any money from anyone else, but I'm kind of the king of the crime families. Like,
well, if you actually went in there and took it over, yeah.
But how is he taking it over if he doesn't...
Because he's still the one...
There has to be some degree of force in this thing. There has to be some coercion in this thing. Listen, you got to do what I say. You got to be part of the co-op, or we're going to come down on you hard.
Well, that's what's going to happen with the Pikes. They're gonna knock them out of that. Yeah. But then these guys are each acting, as he says later, they're acting in their own self-interest, and so there's basically taking one layer off the top and making the individual.
So it sounds like he's basically abdicating his role as crime lord. Anyway, again, I don't think they put as much thought into it, and I've been watching a lot of Godfather, so to me this just seems like a cockamamie, like. Oh, okay. You know what? I don't want to... It seems like they're trying to make him into a good guy by not being the head of the crime family.
Right.
But they still want him to have the power of being... He killed Bib Fortuna, therefore he gets to take over the entire crime organization of Mos Eisley or Mos Espa or wherever
Right.
they are at that thing. So, but they're like, why do you get to be the king? And then suddenly the Rancor shows up, and everyone's like, all right, I guess that's it. I guess we have to do what he
Yeah.
says. He has a Rancor. We're checkmate. So anyway,
Yeah.
But I
He's
do
got a
like
mean
that,
dog.
we get to hear Matt Berry say Garfalaquax asks
Yeah.
what it is you're proposing?
Exactly. Now we know how to say what is he proposing, or what are you proposing in Aqualish.
Aqualish, yeah. So they
Oh.
part on good terms.
Back
I
up.
trust-
We nobody would Alex and Molly and everybody. Nobody would be able to forgive us if we skipped over the fact that at the end of the bar scene, after Chrysanthi rips the arm out of the socket for the Trandoshan.
Wookiees are known to do that.
Wookiees are known to do that. But then once he leaves and Boba goes after him, then she turns and says, "Hit it, Max." And so this is the first time that Max Rebo has been addressed by name on a screen.
Oh, okay.
So
He looks.
we gotta
They're under those
point out our
fluorescent-
Max Rebo appearances, and we gotta. That's a good canonically now. That's we theorize like, oh, is that maybe just another? Is that his son or something like that? But we think it's just Max Rebo now. So
so clearly they're setting up that they're going to be building the gang next week, because she's like, if you know where to buy muscle, you can buy muscle.
right.
Because
And-
I don't know how they're going to go to war with 2 Gamorrean guards, EV 88, and then
And a
also-
rat catcher.
yeah, the rat catcher.
They did you notice that they like the music that played at the end where they're like, well, if we can hire some muscle, and then the music that played was the theme from The Mandalorian.
Ah, so maybe he'll show up.
So maybe The Mandalorian or some of the people like we can, that could go through the same channels. You know what I mean? Could Grief Karga could show up?
We could get Bill Burr. We could
And
get.
he could pick up some of these guys.
I don't think we're gonna get Gina. What's her name?
No, probably not going to get.
Right.
But
We'll have the Frog Lady. We'll have Amy Sedaris. The whole gang will show back up from the
Right.
From the Ahsoka.
and fingers crossed. I know Steele posted excitedly once he saw that the Fennec Shand was being rescued, that we were showing that scene. He had fingers crossed about Toro Calican. Is he going to show up again? No, but maybe.
He'll have a washboard face.
But yes, I interesting to see what, and I predict Tusken Warrior Princess
All right.
might show up again. Remember, we specifically did not see her dead, so
We'll see what happens.
All right. So overall, I thought this one was pretty entertaining, but it was kind of like not a placeholder. It was a transitionary episode to get.
It's a gathering storm.
It is a gathering storm.
Yeah.
This is to get from chunk A to chunk B. It's a cross chunk.
Those are the 2 moons of Tatooine.
Yeah.
Chunk A
We're
and Chunk B.
So-
Arsenio Hall.
We'll see you guys on Chinini next week. Hopefully you're enjoying these. Don't forget, we're on Twitter at Star Wars Minute. We're on Instagram at The Star Wars Minute. I think our TikTok is The Star Wars Minute. We've posted 2 TikToks so far.
We don't stop.
The Facebook, the Star Wars Minute Listeners Society. You can go there, find us, talk to us. We're discussing the episodes and the stuff that we talk about over there. And Patreon. If you're liking this, support us on Patreon. StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon. We'll get you to our Patreon page where you can subscribe and you'll get access to our weekly weekend edition episodes, which are just kind of more pop culture nonsense that we're just talking about things going on in the world and in Star Wars and whatever else. And then hopefully you're enjoying these and you'll join us again next week for a brand new Star Wars Minute.
Minute.